Well, hello all you wonderful people out there in YouTube land. This is Texas Special and welcome to the Texas Special YouTube channel. If you are a returning viewer or a subscriber, thank you for the love and support you show the channel. It is genuinely appreciated. If you are a new viewer and you like what you see, please, by all means, stick around. Hit that subscribe button. Got fresh model train and rail fan content coming at y'all all the time. Now let's dive off into this month's O-Gauge product review. What you see before you is a Lionel Standard O 2-bay covered hopper car. I believe Lionel calls these an ACF 2-bay hopper. This car was built, as this handy dandy little identifying stamp says, in 2009. So this is probably from the 2010 catalog. It is, as you can tell, a Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy hopper. You have some nice lettering. The logo here is a little worn, but I'm pretty sure that's from regular use, not necessarily from, a factory defect. You give me a moment here and I will have it zoomed in so we can see these all the lettering and whatnot on this car just a little bit better, as well as get a tighter shot of the trucks. Alright, so as you can see, you've got the hopper bay hatch covers cast onto the car body. Those are they're modeled, they're simulated. You have these frictionless bearing type trucks on a car with a new build date of July 1968. I have no clue why Lionel does this. Actually, that's a lie. I know why Lionel does it, but that doesn't make it any more palatable. They do it as a cost-saving measure on their lower end items, so they don't have to, so they can just use the same trucks for these and all the other lower end items. It's extraordinarily frustrating, at least to me anyway. Now, were this my car, because this is a loaner, were this my freight car, these frictionless bearing trucks would have been swapped out as soon as they hit the property. I like to keep the supply of those on hand, the 100-ton rotating, the 100-ton trucks with rotating roller bearing caps, specifically for stuff like this. Anyway, all of the lettering is evenly applied, as no transparency, no cracking or anything like that. You can see some nicks in the finish here, but again, I'm pretty sure that's from frequent handling. The guy that owns this car, as well as all the other O-Gauge loaners I've reviewed on the channel, used to work for Train Works, and his trains logged a lot of miles running around display railroads at train shows. So pretty much everything he owns is weathered and got some wear, actual wear. Anyway, the load and weight capacity information is all correct. All of this lettering here, all these little advisories and whatnot are very well done. They're legible. You might have difficulty seeing it on your screen, but I promise you they are legible. I can't zoom in any tighter with this camera. Looking at the other end, you have the ACF builder's plate, or on a locomotive it would be called the builder's plate. You've got all the relevant information here. Again, built July 1968, and right here, built by Lionel. I'm sorry, that's It's 2003, built by Lionel 2003. So this car was probably featured in the 2004 catalog. My bad on that. We'll zoom out here and we will take a look at the A end of the car. Okay, here we have the A end of the car. You've got the car number here. Got this cast on ladder detailing and bracing detailing. The crossover platform, on the real things, this crossover platform is a see-through grate type deal with non-slip tread. On this model though, it's just a standard flat piece of plastic. It is cast onto the car body, just like all the rest of this detailing. You have some decent rivet detailing on the ladders up here at the top where the frame for the bracing comes together. You've also got cast on grab irons here and here, which I've neglected to mention. You have some cast on bracing on the bulkhead of the car, and of course right here. The one thing that stood out to me more than anything else on this car was you have that little hole right there. It's there, but it's covered up by the weight in the car. On the prototypes, that hole is meant to give mechanics access to the air brake mechanisms. And you have some lettering right here, just basic advisory about the wheel size and what type of draft gear the prototype car would have, which is prototypically accurate, by the way. Metal wheels, metal trucks, metal couplers, operating thumbtack style magnetic couplers. You have this little disc on the underside of the coupler that allows this car to be operated with a magnetic uncoupling track section, or you can hit this little tab right here on the side of the coupler and boom, you can operate the coupler that way as well. Here we are looking at the B end of the car. You can see right there the service and emergency reservoir. You have the separately applied handbrake wheel, a cast on handbrake chain, got all the appropriate bracing and whatnot, the operating magnetic knuckle coupler. And this end of the car is identical to the A end with the addition of the brake equipment. Right here, this little nubbin that you see right here just above my pencil, that is the triple valve that is simulated on this car, which actually should be over here, but you know, that's not a big deal. We're taking another look at the B end of the car from a different angle so you can see a little bit better. That's the brake piston right inside there. Just wanted to show you all that it is there, it is modeled, it is simulated, and it is in the correct spot. Okay, here we are looking at the roof of the car. As I said, this is a loaner, this is not mine, which is why it's been weathered with this rust. You see the catwalk here around the top of the car to give access to the loading hatches, which are present and nicely modeled. They don't open. It's all one piece and separately applied to the roof of the car. On a higher end scale model, this would be see-through metal. Not the case with this guy. You have some cast on grab iron detailing here and here, and that's pretty much it for the roof. 4 separate compartments, 4 separate loading hatches. Again, the hatch lids are separately applied, but they don't open like some of the higher end models would. All in all, this is actually a pretty nice car. It runs pretty good on the track. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It's an older style. It's an older, about 20 years old by this point. 21 years old by this point. Freight car, still in great shape and still out there doing what it was meant to do. So we're going to throw this guy on the tail end of a freight train here on Main 1 and let it run around the track so y'all can see it operating. Before I forget, these are good for 027. Now they look kind of goofy. Now a modern freight car like this is going to look kind of goofy running on curvature that tight, but it will run on 027. You hear me talk about Standard O at the beginning of the video. What that means is scale proportion with the capability to run on tighter curvature than a true scale car would, and you're also going to be sacrificing on details. So when you want scale size but don't want to pay scale price, if you're willing to sacrifice a little bit in the detail department, then Standard O cars are great. If you want something that's more realistic than your regular standard train set 027 type freight car, but you don't want to pay $80 to $100 for one car, this is what you go with. And I can tell you, these cars, by and large, the Lionel Standard O cars are right on the money. They are great all-around freight cars. And when you got a nice string of them together, you don't even really notice that it's the sacrifice in detailing. So let's get this train made up.
Remember the defect